Sorry folks, no cat today. This is the third time I'm recording and it's 2:30 a.m. They're all asleep right now. No cats. Hey, what's up guys? ImpulseEvan here, and today I'm bringing you guys into the video. In this video, I'm going to be reacting to RyeToast's theory on the Ruin DLC. His first one. He actually just released a second one, which I'll probably react to as well. Maybe. I'll think about it. But I just wanted to react to this because, well, Ruin's new, and I want to hear a lot of different opinions. Like, I've been making my own theory videos. I've released 4 by now, I think. 2 main ones, 2 mini theories, and I have at least 1 more in the works right now. So I just wanted to react to this and see what he says. So there's gonna be a large portion of the video that's like talking about like summarizing the thing. I'm assuming which I'll skip over that. Sorry, RyeToast. And the endings. I don't know if he's gonna be explaining them there or if he's gonna like I'm assuming he's gonna like summarize them. But we'll watch the whole thing because like obviously we're reacting to a video. Why would we skip over stuff? So let's get watching. Alright, let's go.
Ruin is finally here, and it blew me away. Across the board, people are saying it's a breath of fresh air for
I love it too, yeah.
Freddy's. Even people who disliked or even hated Security Breach are giving props to Steel Wolf for what they've done. And why wouldn't they? Everything from the graphics to the gameplay with the whole mask mechanic to even the fact that it's actually scary this time.
Yeah.
It jumps throughout. But that's not what we're here to discuss today.
I love Ruin.
Because I could gush
I
about
like
this
Security
game
Breach,
for
but
hours.
I love Ruin
Today,
too.
we're on a mission.
Even more.
The one thing this DLC definitely has in spades is lore, and new things
does
are
have
being
lore,
found
yes.
every day. But for now, we have some serious information to go over. So Slices, put on your aprons, and let's bake ourselves a theory. For the purposes of this video, I think it makes the most sense to split it into 2 sections. First, I'll go over the basic plot and lore as directly presented in the game with zero speculation. Maybe a light implication every now and then, but just straight plot line. In the second half, I'll do some theorizing. However, for the point of the video, I'll do some very easy to agree with light speculation. Things that are pretty clear, but technically involve some sort of implication. I'll leave the really crazy theories to start next week. As an example, if this video was about
the
FNAF
newest
4,
one,
the first half would just be going over the minigames, the plot within, and maybe suggest that we play as the crying child. Whereas the second half would go over that we could be playing as Michael. And I wouldn't touch on the theory that maybe the whole thing is real and tests done by William Afton. That's more speculative. Got it? Good. Then let's dive right in. The basic story explanation is our player character Cassie gets a message from her friend Gregory to come to the Pizzaplex, but he doesn't say why. When we get there, we can't find him, but we do find the Pizzaplex is in a terrible state after what the papers call an earthquake. Going a bit deeper, we find a walkie-talkie.
Clearly, it's not an
We
earthquake,
hear Gregory tell us that he's trapped in the pit at the bottom of Roxy Raceway. Something grabbed him, and now he's stuck. We need to come save him. Going deeper, we encounter Glamrock Chica. She tries to attack us, but powers down almost immediately. It's likely that this happened because of the terrible damage and somewhat melting that she's endured so far.
I'd like to point out that I find it really interesting that not Cassie, that Chica, and then later even Monty, they seem to like go after us for a second, and then they just don't care anymore. I brought this up in, I think, my first Ruin theory, but I feel like it's because of, like, I don't think, because the Princess Quest ending, or at least a version of it, seems to be the canon ending, right? So I think that, because Princess Quest definitely happened, Glitch Trap is destroyed, so the animatronics aren't possessed by him anymore. So they're just attacking us for either because at first they think we're Gregory, because Gregory still destroyed them. Even if they're not possessed by Glitch Trap, they still probably have a grudge on Gregory. Roxy tells us as much. But because the Glitch Trap virus is destroyed, they're just going after Cassie because, first of all, they think that she's Gregory at first, and then they see that she's not, so they stop attacking. And then after that, like, she uses the Vanny mask, which has the Mimic in it, and Mixes is, like, sending them after us, implying that Mixes is kind of either running them, or they're working with Mixes to fend off against the Mimic. Just wanted to throw that in there.
We go further in and find a Faz wrench, a tool used by the staff at the Pizzaplex, and Cassie remarks it looks just like her dad's. She soon encounters Monty, falls into the sewage, and ends up at Monty Gator Golf. She then encounters the damaged staff bot that gives her the Virtual Augmented Neural Network Integration Mask, or the Vanny Mask.
Yes.
We will get into it. It shows us an AR version of the real world that tells us that some objects are and aren't real. It also displays the security nodes. These are
so
virtual
weird how
manifestations placed around the Pizzaplex that power and activate security measures, things like locked doors and the like. They are part of the MXES or Mexis system, something that was put in place by someone to conceal and trap the endoskeleton in the basement. We will get there. Once we put on the Vanny mask, we meet Helpy, a digital assistant. He seems like a perfectly friendly digital assistant, but then he puts an ocular implant that allows him to be in our vision even when we're not wearing the mask. He also occasionally says some whack shit, but when he does, his eyes go yellow and some veins appear on his head.
He's very
sus. Something else is going on there. Finally, in this section, we meet the rabbit entity trying to stop us. We're all pretty sure what it is, but that's technically speculation. So for now, I'll just say this digital rabbit is trying to protect
and now we're even more sure
and in doing so,
that we were wrong.
Distress calls to the animatronics to try and stop us. We follow this basic setup through pretty much the rest of the game, using the Vanny mask to navigate the Pizzaplex and turn off the security nodes, following the instructions of Gregory and Helpy. All the while, Mexis and this rabbit entity is trying to stop us. However, we do learn some things in the meantime. Not only did Monty replace Bonnie, but Bonnie's full animatronic is still at the Pizzaplex, just destroyed. If you deactivate every wet floor bot and do something else, I don't know, I still can't get it to work myself. There's a hidden room in the back of Bonnie Bowl that shows Bonnie's full damaged animatronic.
I'll just throw this in here. He probably knows by now, but because this came out a few days ago. But basically, like, you deactivate all the wet floor bots, and then when you make it to Bonnie Bowl, you deactivate. I think there's 2 in there, and then you go to the far right corner of Bonnie Bowl, and then there's a new one that spawns, and then you deactivate that, and then it opens up the bowling area. And then you go in, and then you can find Glamrock Bonnie, and there's 4 more wet floor bots around him, and a Helpy plushie. Now, what's interesting about that is when you deactivate the wet floor bots, which, by the way, their eyes are the same color that Bonnie's eyes are glowing. So their eyes are like, once you deactivate them, obviously, like, they shut down, right? And then if you deactivate all 4 of these ones, meaning you've deactivated all the wet floor bots in the Pizzaplex, then Bonnie's eyes shut down. I find that very interesting. I like Daco's idea that, like, Bonnie was sending out, like, a distress signal kind of to them, or that they know what happened to him and they're trying to get help. I feel like what's going on, though, could be that Bonnie is, like, he's distributed, like, his own, like, program kind of into those wet floor bots, and then when we deactivate them, we're deactivating what's left of Bonnie, because, well, he's kind of stuck here, he can't do anything, he's basically dead, but he's still conscious. You know what I mean? So I feel like what he kind of wants is to die in peace, which is kind of dark, but I feel like that's kind of what is like being implied by that kind of thing. It could be something else that I just wanted to throw in my thoughts on that.
Surrounded by 4 more wet floor bots.
Yeah.
There's a broken bowling ball that seems to imply that he was damaged here as well, but any more is going to be speculation. This does, however, nearly deconfirm that Glamrock Bonnie was used for parts to create Burn Trap.
Yeah.
Mainly because
his endoskeleton is still here.
Bonnie are still here. We also learned that Roxy did in fact replace Foxy, but much earlier than Monty replaced Bonnie. She also fully replaced him in the Pizzaplex as a whole. Bonnie Bowl still exists, but where Roxy Raceway is, Foxy's log flume once was. For unknown reasons, it and all of the Foxy merchandise around it has been tucked and hidden away.
Yeah.
Finally,
what I'm wondering is whether or not Roxy replaced Foxy before or after the Pizzaplex opened. I don't remember. I need to check Clethophobia again to see if Roxy Raceway is in it or not. But if it isn't, that means it would have been before the Pizzaplex. I wonder if they were like, okay, let's include Foxy, and then they were just like, oh, let's not, for some reason. I don't know exactly how it would have worked, whether it was before or after the Pizza Plex opened, but it was definitely before Monty replaced Bonnie, though.
At Roxy Raceway and Roxy Salon, we learn a lot more about our player character, Cassie. From the Roxy dialogue at the end of the game and the cardboard cutouts we see here, we learn that she had a birthday at the Pizza Plex on the 11th, but nobody came. Roxy was there, and eventually, possibly, Gregory showed up too. Other than that, no one showed up. Speaking of Roxy, there's some interesting things about her animatronic specifically. When we put the Vanny mask on, Chica and Monty just appear in the weird x-ray vision that most things do. Freddy completely disappears. I forgot Freddy. We'll get into Freddy. But Roxy looks different. We see a digital recreation of what Roxy looked like before she was damaged. Furthermore, Roxy is the only one that recognizes us as a child, remembers us being there, and turns friendly by the end on her own volition, seemingly. And finally, when we
I feel like it's because the other two can see that we have the Vanny mask, so they're attacking us because we have the mimic with us. But Roxy, well, she doesn't have her eyes, so she doesn't really recognize it. And because there's a connection between us, then, like, that's why she, like, even when she can see us, for some reason, because, like, she looks at us before we make any noise. Which is so, like, it's like, can she see us now when we have the AR mask on? It's really strange, and I don't know how it works, but I don't know. Maybe she's psychic or something. But whenever, like, she has a connection with Cassie, so she probably doesn't see at first that Cassie has a Vanny mask. But when she does see us, I do wonder why she would still protect us if she sees that we have the Vanny mask. But, like, maybe she just, like, I don't know. Is she ever summoned by mixes in the game? I don't remember. I don't know if she is. She probably is. Yeah, she probably is in Roxy Raceway or something. Anyway, let's move on.
Activate her at the instruction of Gregory and Helpy. This digital recreation goes away. Now, Freddy. Totally forgot about him. We encounter him in Phazerblast, and while he is missing his head, implying the Princess Quest ending, he seems to have a weird stomach mouth. Any more is going to be speculation, so I'll leave the rest of the discussion when we get there.
I still have no...
Okay,
I'm gonna skip over this ad. I apologize, RyeToast. But I do want to say, that prototype Freddy thing, I still don't have a definitive explanation. I think it could go either way. Most people, I think that it's the real Freddy, and I completely understand that. I'm a little bit mixed, though.
People. Ooh.
All right.
That's little.
What is that?
It's like a crystal or something.
A crystal. Okay, he answered me.
I could just break it if I just squeezed it too hard. Oh boy.
Okay.
Going down
Is that a
into
kiwi?
the hole under Roxy Raceway, we see that something has tunneled out of the old pizzeria, because there's a tunnel leading straight from there through the giant Freddy statue. Presumably this is the Blob, since we see the Blob leave early in the game, but we don't know for sure. Going through, we find a huge cave filled with waterfall and mushrooms, and going even further, we see what looks like the pizzeria with some weird wooden sections.
And
Inside,
Candy Cadet.
Candy Cadet tells us a story, which I'll summarize to: a mother and son live in a cabin in the woods. There's
with a monster in the basement.
The mother locks the monster in the basement. The mother sings a lullaby to the son every night. Eventually, the monster learns the lullaby and tricks the son to open the door with it. The story ends there. We go deeper in, and we find the rooms that make up the FNAF 6 labyrinth. Even further in, and we find the
I don't think it's the labyrinth, but
we put on the mask and turn it off.
The burn trap
the rabbit entity pops out of it to grab us, but gets sucked
back in.
We then power a forklift to bust down the cement-covered doorway, and we meet it, the endoskeleton that's been locked.
Pennywise.
We learned that this whole time, who we thought was Gregory was this endoskeleton mimicking his...
Let's be serious. Very few people actually thought it was Gregory. I think DanTDM thought it was Gregory. He was really confused when he was playing it. Jacksepticeye, I don't know. He hasn't finished the game yet, so I don't know what he thought. But like when he first played the, like I watched the beginning of his first Ruin video, and at the beginning, when Cassie's just like, why would Gregory call me here and then not be here, and then Jack's just like, because it's not Gregory. I don't know if he actually believes that or not, but like he kind of predicted it right at the beginning. Markiplier started getting a little bit sus of him at like towards the end, and I don't think that he thought it was Gregory at the end. But pretty much everybody thought it was the. I think everybody thought it was either Burn Trap or the Blob or both in one body. I like people thought it would be the Mimic, but I don't think anybody thought that it would be the Mimic just as the endoskeleton. But it was.
Voice. We will get there, believe me. Then, seemingly, Gregory's voice calls us, the real Gregory. He warns us that this is all a trap, we're not meant to be here at all, and tells us that his friend has instructions on how to get out, and then leads us to an elevator. If you go in the elevator, Gregory explains a bit more of the situation. There's a bit of feedback.
I like how he says if, because you cannot.
Then he says that he understands that we did this for him, and he's sorry, but he has to make sure that we weren't followed. And the elevator drops, seemingly
his face
Cassie,
there.
But then at the end of credits, Roxy says, Cassie? So she's probably alive. There's also two more endings here. If you disobey Gregory's orders and eventually go left, you find a Fredbear cutout holding 2 ice cream cones. If you put on the Vanny mask, you see a recreation of the Save Vanny Good Princess Quest ending. However, Freddy's head has been swapped out for Helpy, and they're all holding ice cream cones instead of what they were holding originally. We hear Gregory said that he found a safe place to hide, and it ends. However, there's one more secret ending. This one much harder to get. There's 4 hidden cameras throughout the game, each of which open a door in this chase sequence. If we've activated all 4, the endoskeleton is no longer just an endoskeleton.
It's now wearing a costume.
It's created this stitched version of several different mascot suits, all created into one. It seems to be a lion base with elephant and bird parts stitched together. If we go down the doors we've opened during the chase sequence, we then go into a room very reminiscent of the scooper room from Sister Location. We turn it on, and what looks like a scooper, and the game files call a scooper, dismantles the endoskeleton in front of us. And let me tell you, I was not expecting that.
Me neither.
It's kind of in the Family Guy dead pose. What is that? And if you want to see me actually play through Security Breach Ruin for the first time on stream live, there's a full 6.5-hour VOD on this channel. But if that's too long and daunting,
I have my own too.
To announce. From what I can
I have my own stream too, and I split it up into videos so you can just watch that if you want.
See, 2 people solved the puzzle that I've been laying out for a few months now. So shout out to Pool Noodles and Sandwichly. But I'm officially launching a second channel, RyeToast. It will primarily be first. I think it's pretty safe to assume that the canon ending for Security Breach is officially the Princess Quest Save Vanny ending. After all, Gregory, Vanessa, and Freddy's head are nowhere to be found in some way. This DLC. Second, Freddy is damaged and headless in the same place he would be at the end of that ending. Third, the Princess Quest machine in the Vanny hideout is toppled on its side with an AR yellow sword stuck straight through it, implying that it's been beaten. Fourth and finally, I think part of what the Fredbear cutout ending is telling us is doubling down that the Princess Quest ending is canon. Next up, Cassie's dad.
Pretty much.
Now, I'm working on a much more controversial theory in the background. Expect that one in like a week or two.
if it's controversial, he's probably going to say it's Michael. But when I'm recording this, I just released my own Cassie's dad theory today. When this video goes up, it was yesterday. But I came to the conclusion that it's either Michael or a new character. I feel like considering he thinks it's controversial, it'll probably be Michael in his theory.
Now let's just go over the direct implications in the game. When Cassie picks up the Faz wrench, she notes that it looks just like her dad's. And when we look at the description, it says that they're used by Faz technicians. So we can assume that her dad was a technician at the Pizzaplex. I say was because several times in this game when he's referenced in the past tense. Bonnie was his favorite. He used to collect things like this. I think this is all implying that our father worked at the Pizzaplex as a technician, but has since died. I
don't think that he has to be dead. Like, he very well may be, but I don't think he has to be. But what I do, like, it could have just been, like, Bonnie used to be his favorite, because, well, like, the Pizzaplex is closed now, so he doesn't have an opinion or something like that. And he used to collect them, well, maybe he's already collected all of them, or all of the ones that he wants to. He doesn't have to be dead. He very well could be. I'm not saying that he's not. I'm just saying that he doesn't have to be, but
think he's very closely linked to the Pizzaplex though, at least the franchise as a whole, as we learned that his favorite animatronic was Bonnie, he used to collect old vintage lunchboxes, and he knew what happened to Glamrock Bonnie. So he's been around in this franchise for quite some time. Any deeper speculation than that wouldn't suit the vibe of this video. So we'll leave it that Cassie's dad was a technician at the Pizzaplex, but is now dead. Now, I'm going to save the Vanny mask for when we talk about Helpy, Gregory, and the endoskeleton, so for now, let's just talk about about Mexus. I think it's fairly safe to assume that the rabbit entity chasing us throughout the game is just the digital manifestation of the Mexus system. I also think that Mexus is the good guy here. If the mask is what allows us to deactivate security protocols, Mexus is just acting upon its initial programming. Like, of course he would want to stop us. That's the whole reason this Toon Summoned Skull was ever created. He did nothing wrong, just following programming.
They do look similar.
Mention is this weird connection between the Wet Floorbots and Glamrock Bonnie. I mentioned that you have to turn off every Wet Floorbot to gain access to him, but he's also surrounded by 4 Wet Floorbots while still active. If you deactivate those 4 as well, he shuts off.
He deactivates,
Not only that, but when you go in his green room tunnel, first thing you see is an outline of the Wet Floorbots. And when you approach active Wet Floorbots with the Vanny mask, you hear these ghostly wails. Something is here. Like, there is some kind of connection between the Wet Floorbots and Glamrock Bonnie. I just have no clue what it is.
I already went over what mine is, but what my idea is.
With his missing head and the location he's in, plus the heavy damage, it implies that this is the same Freddy at the end of the Princess Quest ending. However, there are some issues with this. 1, the damage on his front looks intentional as it's formed into a mouth. And 2, there's this weird prototype stamp on his foot. I bring up the
that
damage
is so
because
controversial.
everything else seems accidental and like they were just destroyed throughout the game, whereas Freddy seems intentionally made that way. But that could just be a cool design feature. The prototype thing has me hesitate a little more. In security,
he's climbing back
Freddy
in.
does not have this prototype tag on the bottom of his foot. This is new. This could imply that this is a separate Freddy, but I think it makes the most sense that this is Steelwool either slightly retconning the design or just it's been revealed through more damage that he is a prototype. And it's their way of explaining a little bit more on why the Glitchtrap virus didn't perfectly infect Glamrock Freddy.
It could be.
I've put it off long enough. Let's talk Gregory, Helpy, and the Vanny mask. I think it is most likely that the endoskeleton in the basement of the Pizzaplex is the Mimic, the main antagonist.
That's not likely.
From the
That's just
epilogues of
confirmed.
the Tales from the Pizzaplex books. Now, I'm not going to go into the debate on whether or not those books are within continuity.
I'm pretty sure he believes they're not.
On both sides.
I do.
Very heated
but like,
on both
it's
sides.
fine.
That's not what this video is meant to do. So I'm just going to go over what the Mimic means for this game, and I'll make references to the book. This endoskeleton, the Mimic, has the ability to recreate actions it sees and voices it hears. And it's that ability that it uses to trick Cassie into freeing it from the Pizzaplex. The Gregory we hear throughout the majority, if not all of the game, is actually the Mimic pretending to be Gregory on a walkie-talkie.
The files of the game actually reveal which ones are the real Gregory. Like in the ending in the elevator, that's the real Gregory. In the like right before the chase sequence, that's the real Gregory. And there's also an Easter egg where Gregory speaks through a staff bot. I'm pretty sure that's the real Gregory too. The funny thing is, when I got that Easter egg in my first playthrough, like I got it in my first playthrough, and I didn't even know it was an Easter egg. I thought it was just part of the game, and I was just like, oh, that's the Mimic because he's possessing the staff bots. But no, it's the real Gregory, and I didn't realize that.
But if that's the case, what about Helpy? He seems to be allied with this fake Gregory, and although he looks normal, occasionally he seems to be taken over by something more sinister. Is this just the Mimic again? I hesitate on that, mainly because there's a few times in the games where Gregory and Helpy seem to bicker. One of the examples is the first time that Mexus is shut off in the Monty.
I think, while Helpy himself isn't the Mimic, he is like... Well, maybe he is the Mimic, but he's like a different subsection of like the Mimic program that is like sometimes taken over by the one in the basement, by that program, to do what the Mimic wants, kind of. You know what I mean? Or it could just be like one subsection and then he's just like being corrupted by a different subsection or something. I have no idea how it works, but it's definitely Helpy definitely is the Mimic in some regards, but he's not like entirely the Mimic himself.
Catwalks. Helpy mentions that he activated a jammer that counteracted him, but then Gregory chimes in saying that he did the real work. If this was all the Mimic, this
like
seems
Markiplier with
too intelligent for the trick it's trying to pull here, to be pretending to have a fake fight to seem more real. It seems like these are two separate entities, but if they are, I have no clue what Helpy is. Maybe it's Glitchtrap and he's still hanging around. It's still too early
he might
to
not
tell.
be
And finally,
entirely
the Vanny
destroyed,
or the virtual augmented neural network integration mask. I I've seen some debate on what this mask is, but
yes.
I personally believe it's fairly obvious. The acronym tells us exactly what it does. This is not a security mask, and it never was used by any of the staff here. This is the Mimic or Glitchtrap's way of getting inside of Cassie's mind. The moment Helpy does that like occipital integration thing, we lose. We see him in the real world, it's over. Think about what the acronym is saying here. Virtual Augmented Neural Network Integration. A neural network is a computer program based around the human mind. It's essentially a type of AI, and it's being integrated in...
Basically what it is it's kind of like You're the Band, where Timmy puts on the mask and then he gets possessed by the spirit possessing Freddy. It's kind of like that, where the Mimic is in this mask, and then when Cassie puts it on, the Mimic is kind of in her head. And that's like why, and that also connects to Helpy being the Mimic in some regard, not entirely, but in some regard, because he's like in her head, obviously. And obviously it's a Vanny mask. It's not the one that Vanny herself used, but because it's the design of the one from Help Wanted, which is also in Princess Quest, interestingly enough, which also connects to the idea that like Ruin like in some regards parallels Princess Quest, or is like connected to it in more ways than just being like the canon ending, right? But it's not like the original Vanny mask. It's like a recreation of the VR one.
To us. So what does virtual augmented mean? Well, it could be referring to the AR features of the mask, but I think these adjectives are modifying the nouns of that phrase. I think the neural network being implemented into Cassie's brain has been virtually augmented by Glitchtrap. This mask is how Glitchtrap, or the Mimic, is going to take over Cassie's mind, which leads me to the endings. The most straightforward ending I feel is the elevator one. But I don't fully agree with what the game is presenting here. Several folks on Twitter already noticed that there's a shift in the dialogue while in the elevator. Gregory seems to break for a moment and there's a mic feedback, and suddenly the dialogue repeats that it's Gregory. A lot of people, and myself included, think that this is where the Mimic retakes over communication with Cassie. And that's right when Gregory starts to say, I know you didn't mean it, this is not your fault, but I can't let you be followed, and the elevator falls. Essentially, I don't think Gregory said that, nor do I think Gregory dropped the elevator. I think that's the Mimic taking back control. Also, Cassie surviving that elevator fall is very suspect, but I'm hesitant to think of any kind of robot kid shenanigans for now.
Yeah, he looks funny there. But in the files, it still refers to Gregory the whole way through as just Gregory. I don't know when that shift is specifically, but like if it's after the explanation, then sure, maybe. But like in the elevator, for the most part, it has to be Gregory, because like, well, why would the Mimic explain everything? But if it's after he explains everything that it takes over from Gregory and is now the Mimic again, maybe it could be Gregory or the Mimic dropping the elevator. But like, I still would find it weird if the files just like say otherwise, because they make a distinction between the two.
To me, the second most straightforward ending is the Fredbear cutout one. We see it, we put on the Vanny mask, and we see a recreation of Princess Quest. I think this ending is Cassie losing, because I think this is a recreation of the Princess Quest ending. Literally, this is the augmented neural network taking effect, and Cassie's mind is trapped in this idyllic fantasy that she made it out and everything is okay. Meanwhile, on the outside, Cassie's turned into the next Vanny. They already built the cage around the true mind of Cassie. There's a lot more evidence for this, but that gets into very speculative waters, so I'll save it for like 2 weeks from now.
It's basically like it's showing a fake reality, but it's showing like the thing, like it's showing Gregory and Vanessa on the hill. So, like, it's showing kind of a real reality, but, like, it's showing it, like Cassie's just seeing it through her, like, she's seeing, like, an image of it. It's obviously not the real one. And I feel like she is just, like, she's getting the idea that she's, like, in, a perfect world now, but she's not. Because, well, I feel like I don't know if she becomes the next Vanny, but I feel like she might have just been, like, killed by the Mimic. because it's called the Brazil ending, and the movie Brazil is about like being trapped in a fake reality, kind of. So I feel like that's kind of what it's meant to be.
Finally, the strangest ending of all, what the files call the scooper ending, where the mimic puts on a stitched-together costume, chases us into like a sister location room, and gets scooped. I'ma be so real, I have no fucking clue what this means. I will say, however, and I'm just gonna touch on this ending is the main reason why I'm still not convinced that the Tales from the Pizzaplex books are in continuity. Hear me out. A huge important factor of the mimic is the white tiger. In the books, the mimic first copies its creator's son, David. David's favorite animal being a white tiger. He has a plushie of it, his bed looks like it, and several times in the books, when it has the choice to present as something, it is a white tiger. In the storyteller, the head of a white tiger animatronic has the mimic inside it. In Tiger Rock, it presents itself as the Tiger Rock animatronic in this VR game. The mimic likes presenting as a white tiger, which makes me feel like this moment would have been a shoo-in for Steelwool to say, hey, the books are in continuity, look, it's an endoskeleton wearing a white tiger. I would have shut the hell up. I would have fully accepted that, but they didn't. They specifically chose a lion with other animals stitched on the sides. To me, in the current moment, this feels very specific because tigers and lions are pretty close, but they're not the same thing. To me, this feels like Steelwool trying to tell us in very specific terms, this mimic we're presenting you is very similar to the Tales from the Pizzaplex mimic, but it's not the same one.
All right, I will throw in my thoughts. The thing about that is it would need to have a white tiger under FNAF 6. But it, like, well, there's a bunch of costumes down there. It's basically just using the ones that are already down there, rather than just like, it doesn't just have its own costume. It can't just be like, I have this costume now, I'm gonna wear this. No, like, I get what he's saying, but the thing is, it would have to have the white tiger down there, and it doesn't. It has the lion, it has the elephant, and it has the bird. Those are the costumes that are down there, at least in that room with him. It basically just stitched pieces of them all together just to... Some have been speculating that it might be, like, wearing a bunch of stuff that is, like, really close to what Gregory wears, kind of. Like, I think the shoes or the feet are, like, brown. Like, I think Gregory... or not... Well, Gregory doesn't have brown shoes. But, like, yeah, scratch that. But I think... I don't know what the argument is, I'm gonna be honest, but like I know that's like the idea that people have, that it's like Gregory, that it's like imitating Gregory vaguely. So yeah, I disagree with that, but like I understand where he's coming from.
We've stitched on some extra things and changed its backstory. That's where I'm at right now. Just gonna be honest, I know people are gonna hate that. That's where I'm at. And
I don't hate it, I just don't agree.
You're allowed to hate that, and you're allowed to disagree with me. That's how this shit works. But I will be going deeper in on that next week for some extra reasons why. And that's it. Every single bit of lore directly presented within the game, plus some light speculation sprinkled on top. And I was pretty close to a good amount of it actually in my speculation right before the game came out, which you can see right there. In the meantime,
I was completely wrong.
The best training members around, the Dough Risers, and until next time, as always, stay toasty, Slices.
Alright, nice. That was a good video. I enjoyed that. Again, I disagree with Tails not being in the games, but I do completely understand like where he's actually coming from with it. But I do like the theory. I think it's a good theory. Let me know what you guys think of Let me know what you guys think of the theory in the comments down below. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys!